Hey, hello everybody. How's it going? Thank you for tuning in today. My name is Ricardo Zulueta. I'm your host for Thinking Out Loud Live. Basically, this is where I discuss my thoughts on my experience with entrepreneurship and mental health. So, before I begin, I just want to tell you a little bit more about my background. So, I'm the founder of Fükitt Clothing. It's actually an inspirational brand that with the mission to inspire people to live life more and take a little more risks. Everybody knows to live life to the fullest. Who the fuck does it? But it's impossible. It's actually human nature to take life for granted. That's why we complain on Mondays, traffic, weather, stuff like that. So what you really need are reminders. Like when someone passes away, or what's happening today with the coronavirus pandemic. You tend to appreciate life more, not because someone told you to, you just got reminded to. But this is going to fade. This feeling, it always fades, no matter what you do, just because of supply and demand. When you get less supply of something, you demand it a little bit more, right? So it's going to fade. And so what we had in mind was, why not have something act as a reminder? Every time people wore our brand, every time they saw it, it just reminded them like, hey, stop complaining and live life a little bit more. That's why we started supporting suicide prevention awareness and mental health. It just made sense because of what we did already. At the same time, I actually lost my brother to suicide. One of the biggest things that I learned from that was that when people get sad or depressed, it's not their situation that sucks. It's actually their perspective that does. It's the same reason rock stars commit suicide while the homeless are trying to stay alive. That doesn't make any sense. So what I really need is to change your perspective, right? So how did we do that with the brand? Because even though it's pronounced Fukitt, it actually persuaded people to say fuck it more without being offensive about it. The reason for that is one, we had to change the phonetics and the spelling because how am I going to remind you if you can't wear it? And two, is because everyone is already exposed to motivational messages and quotes every day, whether it's on Instagram, Facebook videos, or even Nike Just Do It commercials. But they're all meaningless. They're merely suggestions. I hope you don't, but I don't know if you do. So what you really need is a decision. Nothing, it doesn't really, the only time it becomes meaningful is when you actually make a decision about something. And people don't realize this, but the only time we actually say the phrase, fuck it, is only until after we've already made a decision. That's very important because that mindset that you have is the reason you're saying is because you're telling yourself, because you never say fuck it for someone. You're actually confirming to yourself that you're going to follow through and commit to the decision you just made. You never back out. No one plays poker and says, fuck it, I'm all in. And then all of a sudden take it back. It just doesn't happen because the only reason it came out was because you already committed. So that mindset is huge because that's how you're going to quit the job you hate. That's how you're going to go on vacation, start your own business, or leave bad relationships, or handle your shit during this pandemic. Until you decide, nothing happens. But once you do, everything happens automatically. This is what I mean about automatically. A lot of people, even myself, have said, there's just no time or money. But what happens every time your best friend gets married? Whenever someone's best friend gets married, they happen to make it. How is that possible? Did you win the lottery? Did you all of a sudden have a lot more time? Did you get fired? What? The only difference was that they changed their perspective on the situation. They said they have to go. This is my boy or this is my girl. It's a once in a lifetime thing. So you actually change your perspective and you made the decision to go and everything came automatically. The first thing you do is, when is it? You take off. So now you can go to the wedding, but now you're thinking about the money. Well, I'm gonna make it happen. I'm gonna raise the money for it. So that's what automatically happens. So without a decision, not a fucking thing works or happens. But once you do, everything will follow automatically. So when I speak at a lot of events, a lot of trade shows, conventions with the brand, right? When I talk to people about this, I get a little bit deeper when I see something wrong. But when I talk about this, the next day, I tend to get these emails from just random people, just expressing their gratitude, telling me like, thank you so much for the inspiration. I was feeling like shit that day. But the best ones are the ones that actually tell me like, hey, thank you so much. I was actually suicidal when I met you. And that is really fulfilling. And because of that experience, that's when I realized, wait a minute, the proactive approach is actually more effective than a reactive one. So a lot of these suicide organizations, society, and even doctors are just doing it wrong. Like, they're very reactive. This is what they do. They say, hey, call me when you're suicidal. They actually wait for you to become suicidal. It doesn't make sense to me because what that does, you're just trying to remedy the result. You're not trying to remedy the cause. You have to remedy the cause to solve the problem. If you're just trying to remedy the result, and this is what I mean. On World Suicide Prevention Day, right? Of course, all these, approach to suicide prevention comes out. And these doctors, organizations are telling people, like, we really need to teach people how to, find the symptoms for, suicidal tendencies. And to me, it doesn't make any sense because you're waiting for suicidal tendencies. That's like telling every kid to eat whatever they want and then telling them, we'll wait to look for symptoms of diabetes. Does that make any sense to you? Doesn't make any sense, right? So people are always waiting. So I lost my brother to suicide. And really, it was his perspective that was off. It wasn't that bad. So that's what I'm trying to teach. So with Start Day One, our mission is to help inspire people to basically change their perspective from dreaming of one day to starting day one. I've learned like people get so overwhelmed about how much they need to change. And so Start Day One signifies there's a day two, day three, day four. You're not going to change overnight, man. Like, it's going to take some time. So you got to just have the patience, but you have to make the decision to do it. Whether it's going to the gym to lose weight, the mental health is the same as physical health. It's not something that happens overnight. Well, I tried it, didn't work. No, it's just like doing 50 push-ups and going like, wait, how come I didn't lose any weight? What are you, an idiot? It takes a little bit more time. Like, it's an ongoing process. No one gets in shape and goes, well, it looks like I'm good. I don't have to ever work out again. See, guys, it doesn't make any sense. So the mental health is actually it's an ongoing thing. You're always fighting yourself. No one's immune to it. So all these motivational speakers, trust me, they get pissed off. They do that. So what we're trying to do with Start Day One is basically we try to raise funds so that we can implement our proactive approach, where we actually send speakers out to different schools, military bases, rehab centers, instead of waiting. Because do you know when these organizations or schools call? They always call after an incident happens, when it's already too late. So that doesn't make any sense, So that's what we're trying to do with the Start Day One. This is what this organization is doing. And that's why we're producing this content, because we're trying to make inspirational content that we can produce out there so we can reach more people. And you probably saw, I don't know if anyone saw, our theme color is actually teal. Teal basically acts as that reminder of what you need to help prevent suicide. We made an acronym for it to help you remember. So T stands for time, E for effort, A for attention, and then L for love. When you give people some teal, that's what's going to help. And so this is really important right now during this time with the pandemic. So the biggest thing I'm worried about is loneliness. Because with the quarantine, loneliness is already a bad problem. It's already a bad problem. It's actually, people don't notice, but loneliness is actually more dangerous. And it's a huge cause of public health problems that can actually kill you. It's people that are lonely actually have higher rates of high blood pressure, anxiety, depression, suicidal tendencies, even cancer. So everything physiologically actually gets affected just by your being lonely. My problem with that also It's because the adolescents, the young adults, are actually most affected, and also the elderly. It makes sense why they get lonely, right? But the young people are actually getting lonely also. But my problem with that is suicide is already the second leading cause of death for young adults. So with this pandemic going on, that's going to get amplified. So we need to do something about it. We need to provide more teal. We have to do it now. Don't fucking wait until you're seeing symptoms of suicide. Like, you need to freaking give teal now. Spend time with your family. Spend time with your kids, especially, and the elderly, because they're gonna get depressed. You know. So that's the biggest thing. You got to call them and everything. So that's what we need to kind of discuss today. Is really it's all about the loneliness. And so, what do we do? What are we gonna do about this? Everyone's fucking lonely. Got it. No one's immune, right? People are now in a bad perspective. That's what's going to really make you lonely. Loneliness is something internal. Social isolation is different from loneliness. Social isolation is when you're not in front of people, surrounded by people. That doesn't matter. There could be people surrounded and still be lonely, right? And you could be by yourself at home and not feel lonely. Why is that? It's internal. The feeling of loneliness is actually built by you. Everything that's is caused by your mindset. And so what you really need to change is your perspective. Because a lot of people before this pandemic, people that are lonely is because they lost that sense of belonging. They don't know where they belong. So they tell themselves, I'm not good enough. I don't have any friends. That's their perspective, right? And we have these friends that act like that, but it's because their perspective is shot. We have to change that. So the first thing I want you to do, which is you're probably doing now, is complain your ass off. Complain, complain, complain. Because what complaining does, it actually builds your roadmap of what you need to work on. Oh, I lost my job. I don't have any money. Well, what do we do about that? Oh man, I really don't have much time and this and that. Well, how come you don't have time to do that? Is it because you're watching a lot of Netflix? I don't understand why you're not on a computer learning something new. So just complain your ass off because it's going to build. Make a list. Track your list. Get your complaints. It's going to build a roadmap for you. Now, the second thing you have to do about the whole thing is like you have to change your perspective on your situation. You know, your time, this, that. Well, what's your perspective on this pandemic today? You're thinking like it's the end of the world. This sucks. Well, change that to, wow, I have more time to work on things that I couldn't do before. Whoa, I have more time to spend with my family, and it's not, you're not getting penalized for it. Everyone's going through this. You have to put that in perspective also, that don't think the world revolves around you. It's happening to globally. It's happening to so many people. So you're not alone in this. So change your perspective in that way. And then the next step after that is you have to ask yourself, now what? Now what? Because what that means is you've accepted the situation. You've accepted everything that's happening. Once you accept it, you go in such a much a better place, right? When you say now what, and that's something you say to someone else. If you find someone complaining, then you have to tell them, hey, you know, you just have to listen. Have an open mind, because we're going through some shit right now. So just let them complain, let them do their thing. And you have to say, and I have to say to you, if you're complaining, I have to tell you, like, yeah, from your perspective, that does suck. It does, because your perspective, I get it. With that perspective, it's going to fucking suck. But now what? Because that means I listened to all your bullshit. Got it. Yep, got it. Yeah, that sucks too. I got it. But now what are we going to do? Because it has to come from you. If I tell you what to do, I'm pretty sure you're not going to do it. But when it comes from you and you ask yourself the question, the answers come from you. I'm not going to force it out of you. Everyone knows what they need to do to be better. Alcoholics know to put down a beer. Drug abusers know to get rid of that. People in bad relationships know they should leave. Everyone fucking knows what they need to do. Maybe you just need some guidance. And mostly, it's really you just need a reminder, because you know exactly what to do. So that's kind of what we're trying to do, is change your perspective. So the first step is track your complaints. then change your perspective and then ask yourself, now what? And then from there, you'll develop solutions to your problems. So that's pretty much, I don't want to go too long here because I actually want to get some questions from and feedback from everybody. We're going to be doing this on a weekly basis, going live, and we're probably going to get deeper into certain um, thoughts and segments of what I just mentioned. So we're going to get deeper into each one about loneliness, about taking life for granted. It's just law of supply and demand and all that stuff. So yeah, it would be great if anyone has any questions or concerns. What do you have there?
Comments.
Any comments? So yeah, so I'm hoping this reaches people out there, because the only way this is going to work if we reach more people. And stop fucking waiting for someone that needs this, because that's not how it works. Everyone's always waiting. It doesn't make any sense. People don't realize that what we're doing is not for suicidal people. That's like telling someone that's in shape not to exercise anymore. Like, that doesn't make any sense. You have to keep going. It's ongoing. People just forget they need this. So when we can get out there, and really emphasize that, dude, you got to change your fucking perspective or else nothing's going to happen. So that's what we try to push. So start day one, whatever you're thinking of right now, your bad perspective, like, dude, start day one. A lot of people lost their jobs. So now what? Get online. Do what you got to do. Do what you have to do. You got to accept the situation. And once you accept the situation, I'm telling you, you got to just change your perspective. That's where it all falls to. And then, you got to provide teals for other people. If you don't have any problems, great, good for you. But guess what? This just started. We're only a month in, man. How are you going to feel when your mortgage is actually late? How many people do you think is going to get affected? How many kids do you think is going to get affected? As a kid? Oh my God, being stuck home? That's fucking lunacy. That would suck. So there's going to be a lot of mental issues that's going to come out. People don't know this either, but loneliness, I mentioned before, really affects you really bad. There's this study, it was a while ago, that for every percent unemployment went up, 36,000 people actually died. They did a study, they actually associated this. And this other person kind of went back on that study and said, well, the population was a little less back then. So for every percent that unemployment rises today, it would be around 58,000 people. It's a lot of people. That's probably going to kill more from the coronavirus thing. And because 58,000 is just rising 1%. Unemployment's going up 30%. So that's a lot of people that we have to worry about. What's this? Not sure how to change perspective. Can you get a little more specific? I see Trinky Russo. Yeah, I'm not sure. For me to help you, I need more information. What's your perspective now? Like, what are you going through now? What's the perspective? Because unless you know what that is, I don't know how I'm going to help you, and I don't know how you're going to help yourself. You pretty much, if it's negative, it's bad. That's just automatic. It's pretty simple. But hey, Kara. Yeah. So, oh, definitely. So that's our plan with Start Day One. We're hoping we actually get to more high schools and military bases. Like I said, these schools, the only time they actually contact speakers or doctors or whatever is only until after an incident happens, which doesn't make any fucking sense because they always wait. Like I said, it's like telling everyone, like, hey, eat whatever you want. We'll just look for symptoms of diabetes. Like, it doesn't even make any sense why people do that. And another thing I've learned is that, we're always trying to remedy the result, not the cause. This is what I mean. From my experience, when I explained the brand to these people, right? I had this one kid just standing there, And he actually approached me and said, "Hey, I love everything you're talking about, the brand and everything, that it starts with a decision, but it's not that easy." Kind of like what this guy is saying, or whoever that was that said, I'm not sure how to change perspective. So what I've seen is, so he starts asking me, like, he's like, "I like what you're saying, but it's not that easy." So I said, "I never said it was easy. It just starts with a decision." Then he said, "Yeah, but I'm in rehab now. And, you just don't understand." That's a self defense mechanism question that they always say because they feel that when you don't understand, you can't help them. But in any case, what I told them is, I don't need to understand at all because I'm the happy one. I don't need to learn how to be depressed to be you. It's always starts with a decision, no matter what. And then he comes back. "Yeah, but," so I was over it and I said, "Hey, listen, stop saying fucking but. It starts with a decision. Why can't you do that?" So I backed up. And guess what? This guy, he just stood there. And I'm going, what the fuck is this guy doing? I see him going through his database of excuses. And it didn't make sense to me. And I'm like, I'm not asking you to fucking run a marathon. I'm not even telling you to read a book. I'm just telling you to make a decision. And I was like, why can't he do that? That's odd. And then he finally goes out of his pause and says, "You're right. You're right." So I told him, "Yeah, I know. You're welcome." Like, are you kidding me? Like, I wasn't even telling you anything big and you couldn't make the decision. So then I tell this story in the future to another event, another person, this lady told her the story and she tells me, "Well, it's different for everyone." Different for everyone. I said, "No, it always starts with a decision. Nothing's going to happen without that." And she was just like, "Yeah, I don't know about that." And she actually left pissed off. And I was like, why would someone be pissed off? Because all I did was give her an advice that you just have to decide to start. Kind of like going to the gym. You're not going to lose the weight unless you start, man. Like, you have to decide to go, right? Why would she be pissed? And that is when I realized this huge, huge. I realized that people that with a bad perspective and they're in a bad place, they actually love excuses and they hate accountability. The lady and that person, the reason they were so hesitant in agreeing with what I said was because they know that once they say you're right, they can no longer use any excuses. They need those excuses when times are bad, when they feel like shit. Without that excuse, oh man, I can't blame it on freaking coronavirus. Damn it. Like, fuck. You're accountable for your own happiness. No one else is. It's your responsibility. And I realized that when this lady was pissed off, it's because she didn't want to. But that's what happens all the time. That's why people in rehab fucking forever. Because they never even decided to get better. They're just going. So they're just there. So wasting time. They're going like, well, it didn't work. Of course it didn't fucking work. You didn't even decide to get better. You just went. But that's not going to help. So the same thing now with this pandemic. It's like, dude, you're not going to get that other job. You're not going to change your career. Like, unless you start. Like, I don't know what you're waiting for because you obviously have the time. There's so many free classes online. Either that or it's cheap. Like, what are you doing? I see people saying, like, I'm so bored. I don't get it. Like, wow. And what are you going to do after this? Because, again, the law of supply and demand. Because there's no supply, right? So before, when we were at work, I'm like, oh, man, I just really need to be home. Oh, I wish I could stay home. Now you're at home. Oh, man, wish I could go to work. I got to deal with kids. And then, like, it always happens. You always get, it's just, it's in our nature just to take life for granted. Always, always. We always do that. It's just the law of supply and demand. But yeah, I wish I could get more questions from everybody. But this is kind of just a quick, our first one. This is our day one. So, I hope you guys are learning something about it. I don't want to go too long. It's already 26 minutes. Oh, we're actually good. So we're almost 30 minutes. So Any questions that came up there or anything? No? You guys have any questions? Zero? Any questions about start day one, what we're doing? What's going on? Good for you, Stainer. I like your moves.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
Kara.
perspective. Yeah, the other one. What is? Well, I was a little bit nervous, Jay. You know, I didn't know what I was doing. Just kind of came out. Just kind of comes out. So, good question, Jay. And happy birthday! You. Cheers. Well, it's not a drink, but. Ah. Yeah. Thanks, Joe. A natural. My voice is like gone, so it's kind of difficult to talk, you know. What's that saying? What are you doing to improvise, adapt your business? For the clothing, really, it's I just have to focus more on the online content and providing more value doing this. My thing is, I never really saw myself as a motivational speaker. Everyone kind of always just suggested it, and I'm just like, nah, I'm good. Like, I'm just saving lives, so I don't know. I never really thought of it as such a like. Actually, it's my wife that told me. He's like, I get these emails. I'm like, oh no way, check this out. It's cool. Like we saved another one, and I guess I don't know. I guess I got used to it. And but she said like, she's all teary eyed. She's like, you don't understand. Like, a lot of people don't get messages like that. You're saving lives, dude. So I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess that's cool. Like, awesome. So I'm just getting started with this idea. Um, of just getting out there because obviously the kids need it. Young adults, like I said, suicide is the second leading cause of death. Like, it's insane. And now with loneliness, it's more towards adolescents and the elderly, like I mentioned. So I think that's why, the suicide is really going up. But mostly the problem is this society itself. Um, as a society and these organizations, we're always trying to remedy the goddamn result. Doesn't make any sense. And what happened is this: we've actually come to the part where we're actually using the result as the cause. This is what I mean. How many people do you know that walk around going like, oh man, my anxiety's up today? Or man, my depression's really bad today. What the fuck are you talking about? Depression is just the result, just like happiness. No one walks around going like, oh, dude, I've been dealing with happiness since like 2012. What, you never get sad after that? Doesn't make any sense. So that's what we're kind of trying to do, man. We're trying to tell people like, dude, the cause is something else that makes you depressed. That's why you're in depression. Something is causing you to be anxious. That's why you have anxiety. It doesn't go reverse. You don't catch, oh, shit, I just got depression. Well, I guess I'm going to be depressed for 2 weeks. Like, oh, that sucks. That's not how it works. Your perspective on life sucks balls, and then you kind of think of the worst things, and then all of a sudden you get depressed. That's why you have depression. That's why it's incurable, because you're trying to get rid of an emotion. Doesn't it make sense? That's like anger. You can't get rid of anger. So if I bitch slap you, you won't get mad. It doesn't make any sense. So we have to remedy the cause, not the result. How can one change to positive perspective after loss if loved one or close friend? So again, it just goes back to the perspective, right? When you have a loved one, here's the thing that I've learned from that. When you lose someone, you go through grief, right? So everyone knows DABDA. It's the stages of grief. It starts with denial, anger, bargaining, depression, then acceptance. Acceptance is always the last thing, right? And everything else is negative. Denial, depression, that's all negative. But did you notice here, depression? That's at the very end, right? Depression is always the fucking hardest. So when people tell me, I have depression, I tell them like, good, you're almost there. Marathon runners don't love the end. When people go to college, the final exams is not the easiest. It's always. So when it comes to a loss, dude, Anthony, this is what I suggest. So what I've learned from loss is that the reason you feel that really like, sadness is because you had such a bond with that one person. People die every fucking day, but we don't cry about it. Why? We only cry about the ones we had some kind of bond with, right? When there's some kind of bond, like even rock stars, when you bond with their music, that's when you kind of get depressed about it, right? Because you listen to their songs, they were part of your life. So what happens with a person, with a best friend or whatever, when someone you lose disappears, all of a sudden your bond just gone. And what happens is you feel like you lost a sense of yourself, right? That's what it feels like because that guy, that person was the only fucking proof that all my memories with that person happened. Like that was it. That was so now it feels like, oh, I lost it. It's kind of like, when something happens and all of a sudden it's not real until you tell someone. It just doesn't feel right when you don't share it. That's why people that are rich and wealthy that don't have real friends, it's hard for them. It's difficult because they're not bonding with anyone, and it makes it harder that way. So right now, this is the best time to create this bonding relationship during the pandemic. Like, this is the time, and the better you are, that's how you get rid of loneliness, and then that's how you change your perspective because we're always battling all these stress. And you need people for that. We're like a social being. We actually need people. So yeah, so for you to when you lose a loved one, the perspective is, dude, you lost a person, but you just have to understand that it happens, right? You try not to look for a reason why. It's now what? It's good to remember you're supposed to be sad. Just like right now, everyone going through the pandemic. If you're fucking depressed, if you're anxious as fuck, like you're supposed to be. Or should you not? I don't understand. So when you lose somebody, be depressed. You have to go through those stages, and then you can get to acceptance. Once you get to acceptance, and that's when you start seeing like the perspective just changes. All of a sudden, it's like, man, it's a good thing I spent time with my friend. It's a good thing I had such great times, and I remember all the good memories. He made me the way I am. You know what? Let me see if I can be better. You should actually be using your friend as a reminder to appreciate life more. And that's what I do. Every time someone passes away, every time I see something bad, I always go, whew, no way. I better get on it. Like, what am I doing? So that's how I see it. I see it more as a gift. Like, look, like I said, look what's happening now. Everyone, it's probably the nicest they've ever been, and they're like scared because they got punched in the face. So, is there any other questions over here? Drinking, but you can't help how you feel. Oh, I'm sorry. I guess that was while I was talking. Sorry about that. It's a little late. Enjoy the journey, the ups and downs. Yep, exactly. Yeah. So if there's any other questions, someone going through anything or something tough, I don't know. This is kind of just our first run. I just want to get more ideas and more feedback, of what people are doing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You got to take advantage of this time. And that's the perspective, right? Don't look at the negative aspects. The perspective right now is like, all right, you have the time. This is something you didn't have before. So what are you doing? Now what? What are you doing now about it? So go to town, read books, take care of your kids, hang out, bond, go outside, And it's funny, people always complain about kids being on their computers and stuff. Now they're itching to go outside. So you take something away, all of a sudden they want it. So, yeah, any other questions? I don't really want to keep this going just for the sake of going. Well, anyway, I hope everyone learned a little something today. That's just my way of kind of trying to help people out. I wish more people would hear this because I know it's important. A lot of people, their perspective is off, and we're society is like really feeding into it and making it worse. We're actually increasing suicide by giving them all these excuses. Blaming depression, PTSD, anxiety. Those are just results. So we really have to, spread the message. And that's what I do with my brand. And that's what we're doing is Start Day One. It can help us raise funds so we can produce more valuable content that can inspire people, change their perspective, or really just get out there, get more speakers. Because what I really want to do is duplicate what I do and do it for other kids and families and different venues, events. So if you could help with that, that'd be awesome. Awesome. Thanks, Trinky. She looks forward to the next one. Well, thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it.
That last question.
Oh, one question. Has suicide rate increased during the pandemic? I am not sure, but I'm pretty sure it's going to. Because if that study is right about the suicide rates going up as unemployment goes up, I mean, it's a little different though with this the pandemic, because everyone got laid off. So they don't feel that sense of like, it's only me. So I'm not sure, but most likely it will. We're only at the beginning of it. And then, people are getting like the stimulus package and all that stuff. So they're not really feeling it. But as days goes on, you start losing houses, cars. Once you start losing things, I think it's going to get bad. And it's not going to fix. It's not going to get fixed right away. So it's scary. But the more fear is for the kids. They're the ones that get affected. So they're growing up with this. And they tend to be more lonely than anyone else. So now with the isolation, with the, quarantine, they're going to get even lonelier. I mean, let's hope it doesn't become actually right now, it's probably become the leading cause of death, because the number one is usually accidents. So that's not really happening as much right now. So hopefully not. Oh, there was a suicide by Young. Jeez, that sucks. Thank you, Laura. I really appreciate the comment. That's awesome. Really sweet. Awesome. So I guess I should end because I'm just going to keep on going. So, well, thank you, Abby. We are changing lives. So again, thank you for watching. I hope you come back next week. Hope you share our content, share our live video for next week. I'm not sure what we're going to talk about next week, but I'll figure it out. And there's so much to talk about. There's so many aspects. And then I just hope people ask more questions. And I hope I really help people. I know sometimes it's tough to ask the right questions. You don't really know what to ask. But I just hope that something resonates and something just really helps you change your perspective and really make the decision to start now, And I guess that is it. Thank you, everybody. Till next time.